Welcome guys, this is Eric Mwathe with mwathe.com, and today what we are going to be looking at is we are going to be looking at a stock that seems to be having some great setup for potential move to the upside. The stock I'm going to be looking at today is ICTL. I'm going to start off with a 2-year weekly chart and briefly talk about price channels, because in this chart you're gonna see how 3 price channels acted as nice entry points. Now price channels don't work all the time, but it's always good to know or to identify areas where stocks are breaking out of channels, because this can help and aid you in timing your way into stocks. Now we see there was a nice channel that was building around here, right there, and it's only until when the stock moved above that channel at that point that it became a trading buy, and it since went on to move from around $1.20 all the way to $3.20. So just that simple observation that the stock was moving above that channel was a good buy point. Again, we see another there was a downward trending channel here on a weekly chart, and the moment the stock moved above that, and usually you want this to happen on heavy volume, when the stock moved above that, the stock again became a trading buy. It went on to move from $1.60 all the way to above just about $3.40 again. So now what we are looking at is the same thesis. We have a downward trending channel right now, and what we are looking at is if you're bullish, you're anticipating that at some point in the near future, in the next week or so, or at some point, the stock is gonna move out of that channel on heavy volume, and that's gonna be our indication to buy. So that's something you might want to put on your watch list and wait for the stock to move above this downward trending channel. Now another thing that we might want to look at is that when the stock broke out into new highs in March of this year above this level here, based on that weekly closing high, when the stock broke out above that level, it became a breakout buy. Volume was very good at the time, as you can see, and another reason why the stock looked good at the time is because we see that the RSI moved above 68 right there. We see there was a on balance volume making a new high, and we also see that the performance against the S&P 500 made a new high. Exactly what you want to see when a stock is making moves to new highs. So another observation is that while the stock has been trending lower, let me see, we see that should the stock also move to new highs at this time, we'll see that the MACD is going to be already giving us the indication, if this does cross over at this point, that this was going to be an upward trending higher lows on the MACD, which does equate to positive divergence, because price has been headed lower while the MACDs have been making higher and higher crossovers. So while this was being formed, we see that the MACDs were forming an upward trending crossover channel. So this might be an entry point for the stock when it moves above that channel. If you want to wait for the stock to make a new high, on a new weekly high on heavy volume, you might want to wait for it to move above 281, which is the highest weekly close that the stock has going back at least 1 year. So that's going to be your entry point at the time. We see that while this stock has been trending lower, you'll see that the money flow has still remained steady. So stock has not lost a lot of its buying, its supporters, so people are still holding on to the stock, and which is usually an indication of a stock that wants to move higher. So we've lost value in price, but the investors have stayed put. Hopefully as they start coming back, this is going to increase the buying to new highs, and the stock is going to reflect that on the price. Now let's move on and look at a daily chart. So this is again ICTL. We are looking now at a 1-year daily chart, and what we see briefly is that the stock has had nice bounces off the 200-day moving average. Had a nice bounce there, a nice bounce there, and currently what is happening is that we see that on a couple of occasions the stock is being smacked down by the 50-day moving average. So if the stock is going to do anything for bulls, it does need to close above this 50-day moving average before it can trade around these higher levels. So we do need it to confirm that it's got power by closing above the 200-day, the 50-day moving average on volume. That's going to be one of our indications that something is developing in the stock. Take note that while the stock has lost all this from almost 50% of its value, there has been no downward selling pressure. You see that it has really been no intensive selling. The only thing you can see going back is high volumes, high buying for the stock. That might suggest that people are still hoping for another move to higher highs down the road. You might want to take a note that the average trading volume for the stock is 25,000 shares daily average, so you don't want to be too aggressive if you decide that this is something you might want to take a look at. So we see that the RSI is also on the daily is forming a positive divergence right there, as indicated by that. We're making higher and higher higher lows as we move forward, which means the stock might be ready to pop based on that. And we also see again that the money flowing to the stock has remained steady. We've lost almost 50%, but the money is still in the stock. Investors are still holding on to their positions. We've already had our MACD crossover, so that something might be brewing here in the near future. So we see that, sorry about that, we see that MACD crossing over there might be good for bulls down the road. Now let's go back and let's go and look at again we're looking at ICTL, and this is a 3-year monthly, and what we see is the stock has been bouncing off its 10-month moving average over the last couple of months, which is good, but it touches that moving average and bounces back up. Now we have a monthly closing high at $2.65. This might be a nice entry point where if we move above that level on heavy volume. You can see what happened the last time when the stock broke above a monthly closing high. When it broke above that level, you buy it right there and you start making money from the very first month, from the very first week of your purchase. Stock goes on to gain, you do the math, from $1.20 all the way to $3.40. That's probably like 180% in 1, 2, 3, 4 in 6 months. So you gain a nice return just for playing a timing game. And then we see that the stock did come back after this breakout. It doubled, came back and retested this level successfully, and is now since then moved to higher ground. Again, what we want to see is that when the stock breaks out, the on-balance volume on the monthly should also make a new high, and the performance against the S&P 500 should make a new high. This seems like a bullish setup to me. You might be one to just put on your watch list. You never know, this might be another buying opportunity coming soon in the stock. Wish you all the best. Once again, this is Eric MWAV with MWAV.com, wishing you happy trading, peace and blessings to you as always.